Okay, everybody. So this is telling me that I'm live, and it also appears to be letting me see if there are people joining. So first of all, if you are joining and you're on Periscope and you are on YouTube, then presumably you can see and hear me. And just like that, yes, I actually can see your comments. Uh, wow. So folks, this is an experiment, this one. So do not think this is necessarily the finished the finished article, so to speak. But essentially, what I'm wanting to try to be able to do is to stream on multiple platforms to build up my YouTube, to build up the Alt News Media Facebook, and to build to, of course, with you folks who are on Periscope, to make contact with you. So first of all, so bear with me as we go through this one here. It seems to be streaming to Periscope, so perhaps can all you folks? I'm just seeing your comments. I can see you. I wonder, can I actually make your comments? What can I do with your comments? Well, they're all here. I can see you. So if you can, David, are you going out or you go out? So yeah, hello, Ellen Joan. Nice to see you from the Netherlands. Stevie, all the gang. Thanks, all of you folks, for being in this one. I don't know if anyone's actually jumped over to my YouTube channel, David Vance, but if you jump over there, it would be interesting to know if I'm actually streaming live on that channel either. Not sure. So it's definitely working on Periscope, so that's cool. And this is just the beginning. So the great thing about this platform is what it enables me to do is, folks, it will enable me to interview people live, and you can engage then with us both. Indeed, it enables me to interview up to, I think, 6 different people live. It might mean that if we can manage this, some of you folks may be able to actually come on. Hi, Jeanette. Nice to see you. So yeah, live and loud, clear on YouTube as well. Wow, this is quite amazing. There's quite a setup here, folks. This is a little studio I've got going. There's multiple lights, there's microphones, there's all kinds of stuff around, just to make sure that I can make proper, effective communication with you. Well, the numbers look pretty decent, actually, so thanks for that. And I guess what we should do then is we should get to the main meat, which is, let's talk about the coronavirus update. And as to paraphrase a song which I frequently use, I just don't know where to begin. And the reason I just don't know where to begin is this 1984 in 2020? Because it certainly feels like that to me. So the government has come out with its latest, the UK government has, so someone said, when can we start asking you questions? Yeah, ask questions as we go along. Let me get started. So you have to bear with me a little bit tonight, because as I say, this is the first version. I'm trying to work out why it isn't streaming across to Facebook. So I don't know why that is. I'm paying enough money, but it's not doing that. So I need to find that one out. But anyway, Stan, yes, nice to see some of my YouTube followers as well. You know, my YouTube's been dormant for quite a long time because, well, YouTube's very sensitive to certain content. But Periscope seems to be reasonably okay. Here we go anyway. So what do you folks think about the latest advice? I mean, I've got so many problems with it. It is very, very difficult to work out where to start with them. In the first instance, let's get this one. Oh, thanks, Chris, for letting me know I'm now live on YouTube as well. That's good. YouTube and Periscope. Well, we'll start with 2 of them. You know, let's try and put this all into context, shall we? I believe this government made a fundamental mistake, not of its own making, back in March. The government originally went with herd immunity. And on the basis of that, we were pretty much allowed to get on with our own lives. And then, bang, along came Professor Neil Ferguson and his famous model. And on the basis of his modeling, which forecast 500,000 deaths here in the UK and 2 million in the US, by the way, on the back of that, lockdown. And In that moment, our lives changed, possibly forever. Someone says, why are you not out in that lovely garden of yours? Well, Liam, I'm not out in the lovely garden because I need a hardwired internet connection to be able to do this. So hope to do. I mean, I won't say I'll never appear outside. I just wanted to try this experiment inside. So how does it come across, Chris, on YouTube? Is it working okay on YouTube? Hopefully it is. So that was where the problem started, folks. We started with the acceptance of Professor Ferguson's modeling. Professor Ferguson's model, as we all know by now, is so far wrong and so far out. It is unbelievable, and therefore, because the government went with that and put us into lockdown with that, the government's trapped, a bit like we're trapped. So the government, I think, finds itself in a position where it can't really be seen to go back and say, oh, well, look, we've learned our lesson. We know that Professor Ferguson's modeling is wrong. We know that some of these measures, like social distancing, for example, don't really have any scientifically based substance. So on the basis of that, we need to stop it now. They can't do that. So it's like the government's dug itself into a hole, and that hole is getting bigger and bigger. And the problem is we're all in the hole as well. So we've had the latest advice, the latest Westminster advice, and then we've had, where I live in Northern Ireland, we've had the local devolved assembly giving it advice. I'll come on to that. And we've had the Scottish, we've got Wee Nippy up in Scotland, also giving her advice, and people in Wales also having to endure the Welsh Assembly. And the government can't be blamed. They were following the science, says Wildlife Manager. Yeah, well, except whose science were the government following exactly? Because the government keeps saying it's following the science. It was following a particular science. It was following the SAGE committee. That's not all science. I mean, anyone who knows anything about science knows there's no such thing as settled science, much as the environmentalists, the lunatics, try to tell us otherwise. So this government listened to a particular group of scientists, and I think it's all gone pear-shaped from there. Don't know if you agree or not, but we have, yes, Chris is right, a 13-year-old model with mechanisms behind it and for calculations which Professor Ferguson seemed very reluctant to share. Why is that? Well, because they'd be shown to be absolutely wrong. And yes, SAGE is very much connected to Bill and Melinda Gates. Am I allowed to say Bill and Melinda Gates on these platforms without being banned? I'm not sure, but I'm sure going to find out. So let's look at where the British government is taking us and some of the things that are very, very difficult for me to accept, actually. I'm not sure about you. So for example, we're being told that, the lockdown is kind of more or less continuing unless you're in manufacturing and unless you're in certain areas of activity, in which case you can go back to work. But most people should stay at home and stay alert. And there's been a lot of talk about this stay alert. I see lots of comments about stay alert. Oh, now I understand that the lefties want to pretend they don't understand what stay alert means. I get that, and that's fair criticism. But by the same token, I mean, seriously, stay alert. Stay alert for what? Stay alert for coronavirus? It's vague messaging. It's vague messaging, no matter how you call it, folks. All you, if you're a Boris fan, I'm sorry, that messaging that they've got is wrong. But it doesn't matter, because I don't want to be ruled by little snappy catchphrases. Do you? Whether those catchphrases are, stay at home, protect the NHS to save lives, or whether those catchphrases are stay alert, control the virus, save lives. It's just words. It's not. It's the actions that matter. The actions are the things that count. Now, when we look at the action, sorry, folks, I'm just going to move this a little bit so that hopefully I'm making eye contact in the right way. So the reality is that the messaging is neither here nor there, but I find myself torn in so many directions. So, for example, we are being told that um, schools should go back on the 1st of June. And the teacher unions have predictably said, well, we're not going back on the 1st of June. Half 500,000 members aren't going to go back because, and I actually have sympathy, shock horror with the trade unions. How on earth can primary schools prepare themselves to go back on the basis of having no more than 15 kids in a classroom? How's that going to work? How are you going to get social distancing with kids? How do you tell little Jimmy that he can't play with little Sally or little whoever? How are you going to enforce that in the classroom? I mean, the fact is you're not. So I don't think social distancing is really enforceable. And I remember now, okay, I went to primary school a lot longer ago than most of you folks. But I don't think there was like the potential of even having a one-way traffic system in a little small primary school. And furthermore, this idea that there can't be any kind of lunch breaks, kids can't play together. I'm sorry, Ellen Joan, you're right. I think it's, I'm a great critic of the teacher unions, but in this case, I think they've got a point, and I don't understand how this one can operate. So if anyone's watching this, be it on YouTube or on Periscope, I mean, can you share with me how do you think the thing can work? Because I just can't see it. So that's one thing that I've got huge issues with. I don't understand. And Chris, of course, it can't be healthy for children not to mingle with their friends. And actually, Chris, that's a good point. This, of course, brings me to one of the big issues, which is if you believe, as I do, and many eminent epidemiologists and virologists around the world do, maybe not the SAGE committee, but others, if you believe that herd immunity is good, because herd immunity means that, hello, Libertas lady, you're very welcome. If you believe that herd immunity is a good thing, then you want the kids to mingle. You want us all to mingle, but we're not. We're still being pretty much told, stay indoors if you possibly can, and go out to exercise on an unlimited basis, but only within a certain radius. It's all nonsense. I've got huge problems with it. So there's that factor. The other thing is that every year we all get viruses. I mean, there's the flu comes in the winter typically. There's the cold comes all times of the year, and we don't have. I've taken flu vaccines. I won't be taking any more flu vaccines. I understand enough now to be deeply concerned about flu vaccines, but it's everyone's individual choice, of course, what they do. The thing is that these viruses do travel around the world, and the way we get over them is we actually get the infection. Our immune systems, in most cases, are capable of fighting the virus, and that's why I guess when it comes to this, folks, this particular virus, COVID-19, many people have been asymptomatic because their bodies have taken have had the virus. I think I've had it. Not sure about you folks. I believe I potentially did have it. And the symptoms I had was I did have a persistent cough, and I felt a little unwell for a couple of days. That was it. And since then, I'm absolutely fine, as you can see. So the way to help fight back against COVID-19 is to actually, and this might sound strange, but get as many people as possible should get it, and that will bring the herd immunity, which means that we would then be able to get on with the rest of our lives. Now, there's certain exceptions to this. Fully understand. Our elderly community need extra protection. Younger people with immune compromised conditions, they obviously would also need that. But that is by no means the entire population. If you're under 40 years old and you're watching this and you're healthy, the likelihood of you dying with it is extremely unlikely. You may get it, But if you get it, the likelihood is your body will fight back and you'll be fine. Hi, Roz. Nice to see you. The thing is that it's almost like the government's doing the opposite of what seems to be good science, at the same time as telling us that they're following the science. And the other thing is that deeply, deeply concerns me is that we are being told that we may have to wait until the vaccine comes out. Yeah, the vaccine, before we can really get on with the rest of our lives. Yeah. So the last one of the major epidemics we had was back in 2003, was the SARS epidemic. That was back then. That's a coronavirus. If you remember, it went around the world. People like Professor Ferguson at that point were predicting it would cause a large number of deaths. It didn't. But that coronavirus back in 2003, we're still waiting on a vaccine, folks. 17 years later, we're still waiting on a safe vaccine. So it does make me wonder how we're going to see a vaccine for COVID-19 in the space of a couple of months. That makes me wonder. And the key word is a safe vaccine. Now, we wait to see, but again, we do have a protection against COVID-19. You've got it if you're watching this. I've got it. It's called our immune system. Let's boost our immune systems. Let's keep healthy. Let's eat healthy. Let's exercise. But, that means we have to get on with the rest of our lives. We cannot stay locked up forever. And talking of which, so I also understand that the government has come out today and said that Matt Hancock has come out with a couple of things, which has really, really irritated me. One, forget about a summer holiday. Everyone happy with that, folks? How do you all feel about the fact that if you're living in the UK anyway, you won't be able to go on a summer holiday because it's just too dangerous, according to Matt Hancock? Well, I'm sorry, Matt, but that's... Summer is the time when even here the weather's quite good and we can travel to parts of the world where we get lots of heat, hopefully, if you like that sort of thing. I do. And heat also helps kill the virus. So you want people to take summer holidays. You want to encourage people to actually go and get some sun. That sun will actually help boost their immune system further. And hang on, folks, I just want to do a couple of clicks here. Oh, that's just reading some of your comments. Roz says, I had swine flu back. It lasted 48 hours. Roz, exactly right. It sounds strange, but the best thing you could almost do is have COVID-19. If you're young in particular, your immune system, as long as you're healthy, will help you fight back. So I'm just watching the comment. I've got a different screen like you wouldn't believe in front of me, so it's a wee bit harder for me to just keep on top of everything. But I'm not happy about being told I can't go on a summer holiday, except Boris has said that the French can come here and we can go to France and we can go to Ireland. So what, is there no COVID-19 in France and no COVID-19 in Ireland? Is that right, Boris? Which scientist told you that? Why can so that doesn't seem coherent to me. And another thing that doesn't seem coherent is that this business of then every other flight coming into the UK from anywhere else outside the world, you're going to have to be quarantined for 14 days. Well, again, sorry, huge problems with that. That seems to me to be economic. We're going to get on to the economy in a moment, my favorite topic. But that seems like economic suicide. So, if you're a business person wanting to come in to do business in the UK, let's say from America, where we're trying to do a trade deal, you're being told, well, if you're a businessman, you fly into the UK, you're going to have to go and isolate yourself for 14 days before you come here. Let me tell you, no one's doing that. That will not happen. So yes, vitriolic culture, you're right. Again, heat is one of the things that kills viruses. We just know this. Check out the amount of coronavirus in African countries. It's very small. I wonder why that might be. I mean, they don't even have an NHS. Yeah, I'm doing some of your comments, by the way. I started work last week, stone broke, no food. Oh, I'm so sorry to read that, Stan. This is, honest to God, my sympathies lie with people like Stan here, who's on my YouTube stream. This guy had no money, starving, hungry, wasn't getting anything from the government. So he had to go back to work. So yeah, actually, you see, if I do this, folks, can you see it on the screen? By the way, if I hit a click like that, can you see the screen comment? If you can, just let me know so I can see actually what I'm doing. Yeah, so you can actually see. So you can see this comment. I mean, look, this is it's great. Actually, I can do this. Yeah. Yeah, so that's good. I'll be able to share comments so you folks can actually see. I'd like to see if I can actually share all of your comments, but this way at least I can let you see comments. But there's Stan on YouTube, really suffering, and my sympathies lie with him. My sympathies lie with business. Let's talk about the economy, shall we? Because we really have to understand what the Chancellor has said today. The Chancellor is extending the furlough scheme till October. He's paying 80% up to the end of August, I think, and from August on, he expects companies to divvy up, and he'll drop his percentage back, maybe, but it would still stay at 80%. The idea being that, hang on, I want to just see if I can move comments on. Yeah, I'm glad you folks are liking this. I understand this is a bit more stuttery than normal, but I just have to feel my way around this setup. So I hope you don't mind. Well, as I say, the cost of the extension of the furlough is eye-watering. Our economy is going to melt. The amount of debt the Chancellor Rishi is putting in the UK is unbelievable. Hi, Stuart Drummond. Can you see me okay on YouTube? I've never done a YouTube live stream. You see, folks, this is the other thing. So this is a completely new one for me. Yeah. So I'm just trying to sort of see your comments here as they come in. I'm having a look. Yeah, I mean, some of you are making brilliant points. I mean, there's a really good point. Why encourage people to stay off work? Stop furlough and get people back to work. Absolutely right. God, I'm so pleased to be amongst such sensible people as you folks. Hi, Francis Gray. Nice to see you as well. So our economy is basically being put in intubation in many regards, the use of medical expression, because the fact is that there's no need to extend the furlough scheme. The furlough scheme should be ended, but it's not that simple. And let me. Hello, Connor, and I'm glad to see you on my stream, and I hope Scarva is sunny. I wouldn't say it's that warm, Connor, but it's quite sunny in sunny Donaghcloney as well. So back on topic. The fact is that the one sector of the economy, which is very important, I think it constitutes about 11% of all jobs, is kind of hospitality and tourism. Now, by cancelling the summer holidays, that's essentially cancelling the tourist season. That means that so many hotels, bed and breakfast, all the infrastructure around that, those people are not going to be able to generate any income. Now, so I can understand why you'd want to extend the furlough scheme for them, but you're the reason why those people won't have any income. So I am afraid I totally blame government. Government is to blame for this one. Jed says we must get back to work. Hi, Jed. By the way, welcome. You're absolutely right. I've spoken to in the last couple of days. I guess you'd call them workmen who have just started back, and they all say the same thing to me. They say, "Oh, we took the time off because they told us that's what we had to do, but we've just got to get back to work," and that is so true. I think. Hi, Mike. Nice to see you as well. So the fact is that this economy can't continue. It's a zombie economy in so many regards. And of course, yes, if we look across to Germany, there's actually demos in the streets to stop the lockdown. But what are we doing in the UK? Clap the NHS. Yeah, give the NHS a great good clap. And that's about as far as we go. Hi, Rishi. Yeah, Rishi says, looks like Twitter is shadow banning you. As often my tweets aren't great. Yeah, actually, just as a by the by, my I've lost about 400 followers on Twitter in the past few days, and my view numbers, which are usually several million a day now, have dropped in half. Thanks, Twitter. I know when I'm being shadow banned in some form, even though when I run the shadow ban checker, I'm not. But I don't trust Twitter. I'm sure most of you sensible people don't either. But anyway, I will prevail. I won't. I'm not prepared to roll over, and I'm certainly not prepared to stop talking, trying to shine a little light into the darkness of the situation we find ourselves in. There are other things that we could talk about. So the economy is just so bad. But then let me put my parochial hat on. So here in Northern Ireland, our wonderful devolved assembly has decided that even Boris's meek, supine little minor attempts to lift the lockdown, they're just too great to risk. Yeah, too great to risk. So our lockdown is suspended, is to continue to the 28th of the month, and then it will be reviewed, and then it may or may not be gradually lifted in 5 phases, which could run to the end of the year. Oh, fantastic! Well done, Stormont. Thank goodness for a devolved government. I think there's one I want to put on. Josh says, small business owner here, would love to get back to work. I want you back to work. I want British business. In fact, I want all business, but British business, I want you folks back doing the things that you do. The other thing is, if you don't get back, and this is, it's all very well saying 80% furlough, blah, 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 but there's lots of small businesses and one-man operations that's not gonna help. So in Northern Ireland, yeah, folks, our wonderful assembly is going to keep us locked down, and pretty much no hope here. And I guess Scotland's just as bad, with wee Nippy seeking to impose her own totalitarian state in Scotland. And this is one of the things, one of the big lessons of the coronavirus is that devolved administrations are a disaster. Scrap them all, get rid of them. Boris and his team, I don't like what they're doing, but I can accept it. But I don't need these little tin pot dictators, be they in Holyrood, be they in Stormont, be they down in Cardiff. I don't want them. Is anyone with me? Does anyone agree? Would you like to see the devolved assemblies all they're doing is really what Boris is saying, but trying to pretend they're even tougher because they want to save lives even more. Do you know how many people in Northern Ireland died yesterday with coronavirus-related symptoms? Notice the terminology. That's right, 3. 3 people died. And on the back of 3 people dying, they are... so I'm just looking at your comments here. There's one I wanted to put up. Devolution has been a disaster. You said it. Ain't that the truth? The thing is that 3 deaths and we're locked down. Are we going to get to the point where there's no deaths and we're still being told we're locked down? But I hear them say, but you're misunderstanding. There's still rates of infections. Good. Rates of infections mean more herd immunity, means restoration to normality quicker. We want to see that, apart from our elderly and those with immune compromised situations. Lots of conditions can fall into that, by the way. And then of course the other thing is this awful daily death toll. We've got 30,000 dead, 32,000 dead, I believe. But of the 30,000, how many died with coronavirus? How many died of coronavirus? We'll never know, will we? And there's some questions that people have reasonably raised about the death certificates. If a GP can over the phone analyze, can conclude that someone has died with/of coronavirus, well, that's the death cert. Just more comments. Yes, Paul Allen, you're absolutely right, Paul. The only people who should be in lockdown is our elderly folks and those with pre-existing conditions. That's the truth. And those people should be given, I don't believe they should be given necessarily vaccines. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving medical advice. All I'm suggesting is that I believe if those elderly folks had their immune systems boosted, that would help them as well. So you see, there are many things we can we can do. So I'm just reading more comments. Here's Katie says, you need to lock down people who live with the vulnerable too. Yeah, I mean, Katie, that may be the case, and there's lots of exceptions. I get that, but the broader fact is most of us, certainly I'm not under 40, as you can all tell, but you know, the fact is that many of you will be, and there's many millions of people who have virtually no chance of falling seriously ill or dying with it. They may get it. That's like saying, you know, we don't lock society down for the flu. I'm not saying coronavirus is the same as the flu, but the reaction to this has been so extreme. And in many regards, someone said, David Vance, been a long time since I saw you. Hope you remain in YouTube as long as possible. I hope to be in YouTube as long as you'll see a lot of changes on my YouTube channels. You'll also start to see changes if you subscribe to the Alt News Media Facebook channel. You're going to see a lot of changes there, as well as my Twitter, the Periscope channel as well. So yeah, so isn't technology a wonderful thing? Paul says, I'm not afraid of getting the virus, so why am I not allowed to go back to work? You can see Paul's comment, perfectly valid question. And you're not allowed to go back to work because our government, in my opinion, at any rate, has made a blunder, and it cannot admit it made the blunder. And because it didn't admit it can't do that, it has to carry on saying, no, it's everywhere. Coronavirus is around every corner. Yeah, so if it is, well, here's the thing as well. On this one, let me ask you a question. So we all be good little boys and girls, and we follow the lawful advice of the government, and we more or less stay in. We don't go out that much. You see, when we do eventually go out, here's the thing: the virus is still going to be there, but the virus will have had an opportunity to mutate and become potentially more deadly. So the likelihood of there being a second wave is quite extreme. So how is that a good thing? Please, answers on a postcard. Can I say a warm welcome to Binky, aka the only guru, whose tweet I've very pleased to come up. Binky is one of my sources of delight on Twitter. I mean, there are very few sane voices on Twitter. Believe you me, at the best of times, well, I like to think Binky's one of them. So thanks for coming along and listening to me. So you know, back on topic. Yeah, I mean, we just, the government's just pursuing the wrong policies at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. And I had supported the government back in March. I supported herd immunity, supported Boris, but I just fear that the reality is that it's gone so far and it can't go back. I also, and this is one now, can I just, I don't want to go on too long, folks, but I wanted to mention this one to you. If you, my mum and dad have passed away, okay, so I can't go, the only place I can go and visit them is in a graveyard. But there'll be many of you watching this, and your parents will be still with you, and indeed, like I've got family, you know, who I can go and visit. I'm not all alone. But the Hancock's saying, so the new recommendation is if you're going to visit, if you can go and visit one family member, I believe that this is correct, one family member at a time. So you could go and pay, for example, go and visit your mom, but not your dad. You'd have to go back to see your dad at a different time. Come on, this is insane. But by the same token, you can go out and be in a social bubble outside of, I think it's 5 or 6 people. I mean, who thinks up these things? Who thinks up this lunacy? Go on as long as you like, David. Oh, thanks, by the way. Someone says, it's not like we have anywhere to go. Yeah, that's true, actually. You're all caught with me. You cannot escape. Where are you going to go, outside? But I think it's really cruel. I mean, if my mum and dad were still alive, I would want to go and see them. Especially, I mean, my dad died first, and then several years later, my mum died. In those intervening years, my mother was, you know, she was quite lonely. She still was, for some time anyway, a short time, able to live on her own. So I think I would want to go and see those people. Now, I know the issue is, oh yeah, if you do that, you're going to give them a coronavirus. Well, it depends on the parent. I mean, yeah, but if I go to see one of them, I could obviously give the coronavirus to one of them. So it's Benke said there's no logic to it. It's very unfair on old people, very unfair on old people, and actually from an old person's point of view. I'm not exactly an old person, but suppose you've got grandkids. I hope to be in that position in the very don't want to say too much, but in the very, very near future. This year, I expect, hope, and sincerely hope I will be in that position. I would want to go and see my grandchild. This notion of keeping families and keeping families apart, it's just wrong. It's morally wrong. The science, and also, the science behind it is extremely contestable. And yet, there seems to be almost no debate with the. So I'm just reading some of you. There seems to be no real debate about, well, is the science right? And anyone who understands science knows that science is always moving. Science is never a fixed thing. Sylvia says it's killing me. Well, Sylvia, I just wanted to understand. Again, I'm playing with stuff here. If you wonder what I'm doing to try and make all this thing work. My mum has stopped eating and drinking, and I can't even hold her hand. Yeah, Linda, I'm so sorry. I mean, yeah, I see all these things. I actually saw a statistic today from the southwest of England, and I understand that in a part of the southwest of England, which is a pretty sparsely populated area outside of tourist season, and there's no tourist season anymore, the suicide rate has doubled. And this is the other thing that cracks me up. So the media said, oh, there's 32,000 deaths, but it could be as high as 50,000. Why might that be mainstream media? Is that mainstream media? Because you now want to count every excess death in this period as a coronavirus death. Well, actually, have you considered for one moment that those excess deaths could be, sad, maybe lonely people who just give up the drive to live? Could it be people killing themselves? Could it be people dying of cancer untreated? Could it be people with cardiac issues untreated over the last 2 months? I mean, there's lots of reasons. How dare you? The mainstream media is garbage. It's worthless. Do not watch it. You don't have to watch me, but I would advise you don't watch it because it does nothing for you. Yeah, see, thanks very much for your kind comments, by the way. I mean, so the thing is that, the natural instinct of families to come together, and Matt Hancock saying we can't. I'm sorry, Matt Hancock, but you'll not tell me how my family will behave. You really will not tell me. And here's the other thing. Just by the way, I reckon that, just based on out and about, that a lot of people are paying lip service to this anyway. All the plumbers and the sparks and all the guys that have to go out and do a really important job. If you want to, applaud people, applaud the plumbers, applaud the electricians, applaud the lorry drivers, applaud the guys working in the warehouse, applaud these people as much as the NHS workers. If I tell you what, as I said earlier today, if the truck drivers just decided, oh, it's too dangerous, we can't go out, you'd be starving now because the food wouldn't get to the supermarkets. So, I actually do want us all to be in it together. But, so there's another comment here. Piers Morgan. Oh, God, I'd have to do a whole special Periscope on the subject of Piers Morgan. I really would. There's so much material there. To paraphrase, was it the psychiatrist in one of the Faulty Towers episodes? The two psychiatrists, when they see Basil jumping up and down in the carpet, beating his head. And one of the doctors says to the others, there's so much material there for a book. And so it is with Piers Morgan. There's loads of material. But yeah, the food processors, the postmen, these are the people that I salute in just the same way as the NHS. the utility workers. Yeah, all these folks, absolutely. The only reason, folks, we're able to do this, have this conversation, is that the networks are being kept up, the electric's on. You know, we seem to have lost track of everything. And actually, you know, before I came on live to do this, I was watching TV, and in one ad break, we had, I think it's that guy, Kevin Bacon, on telling us, you know, normally Kev's joking, but now's not the time for jokes. He's here to tell it's all about the NHS. And that's why I think his network is giving them free broadband for 6 months or whatever. And I saw another ad telling me that it's about our NHS. It's not about our NHS. I honestly, it's not. And I therefore completely dispute the importance of protecting the NHS. Yes, at the beginning, when we didn't know how this was going to be, we had to make sure our intensive care units were not overwhelmed. That's fine. That's reasonable. It never came, folks. The tsunami never came. I'm aware of hospitals here in Northern Ireland, and I speak to some of the people who work in those hospitals, believe it or not. And those hospitals are virtually free of coronavirus patients. Those hospitals have essentially returned to hospitals. And many of those people in those hospitals are embarrassed by this juvenile hero worship that that we've seen. I couldn't help it. Paul, you're catching my eye with your comments. Yes, Celtic Woman, I can talk about more if you want, but the intensive care units have been overwhelmed by TikTok videos. I mean, I miss the TikTok videos. Now, where's those nurses in their outfits doing all those raunchy routines? Maybe we need that. Someone says, so you're in Northern Ireland, plan a picnic in Ormeau Park on Saturday. Sorry, I'm just trying to read more comments. How is your immune system? Well, you see, I believe immune health is wealth. And that's why I really am interested in people like Dr. Shiva. If you follow Dr. Shiva on Twitter, you should do. And I mean, there's an interesting comment there. This is from someone who says, I've got a friend who works this is a major hospital, the Royal Hospital, and the beds are half empty in it. Absolutely. So to go back to the point, I'm a great believer in immune. I think we should be doing all the right important things to have a healthy lifestyle. And I mean, look, there's another, again, Becky says, some of the lowest figures in Jersey, our hospital is near empty. This is the same virtually all across the UK. And with hospitals half empty, and with death rates so low, and mostly focused in the age 80 plus group, why the hell are we all under lockdown? It's just wrong. There's other issues that we could chat about, which I don't want to talk about at the moment, including one that Celtic Woman has brought out. Because, but one thing is for absolutely sure, the best thing you can do is get fresh air in your lungs, get exercise, make sure you're getting all the right vitamins. In a place like Northern Ireland, we don't get that much sun, believe it or not. So you can take vitamin D, these things you can do, vitamin C as well, zinc, loads of things, which for just a general healthy lifestyle are a good idea. Why? Just because I've got an hour and I wanted to do this for 1 hour. So I hope you're enjoying it, by the way. As I say, this is, that's really interesting. I'm 79, shortly 80. So you think I'm not worth saving? Well, can I just address this comment that's been directed me? I absolutely believe our elderly, and at 79, you're a young thing, but our elderly are absolutely worth saving. Direct resource to them, medical resource. Put everything around to save them. Absolutely. I hope you'll agree I'm being clear on that. If Chamber Pots, you have got a healthy immune system, even at 79, shortly 80, you'll be fine. I believe, not that I'm a doctor, so it's not me saying anything medically, not recommending anything, but I think you will more likely be fine. But certainly for sure, here's the thing. Let me phrase it differently. Do you think that a healthy 35-year-old should be put under the same strictures as someone of 80? They shouldn't. They absolutely should not. So I say protect our elderly and those younger people with immune issues, but the rest of us, please free us. Let us get out. Is that not reasonable, Chamber Boss? Is that not a fair fair thing? Because I mean, I really value our elderly people. As I say, God, I wish I had my own elderly parents still. I'm not without human feelings, contrary to what some people on Twitter say about me. So shield the vulnerable of whatever age group. Absolutely, Binky. Let's shield them and put all our efforts towards them. And certainly those elderly people who are, taking extra precautions, then fair play to you. I support you, and I actually support the government doing more for you. But the way this is going, folks, this COVID-19 is not going away. You may huddle indoors. It's going to be waiting for you when you come outside, because that's the way viruses are. I mean, I think I have told you this before, but you do realize that every one of us has about 130 trillion viruses inside us. On a good day, 130 trillion viruses. Now, many of those pathogens don't cause us any damage whatsoever. We cope with them, but the immune system is the key to this. But we don't seem to want to talk about. We don't want to talk about immune systems. Yeah, I mean, so I don't know. I mean, there's obviously other industries which look like they're going to be destroyed. How does air travel continue? How do airports continue? How do travel companies continue? And I agree, actually, there's a really good comment. I want to put this comment up here. Life is for living, not just surviving. Absolutely. And as I say, I fully respect our elderly folks. So I hope I've made my point really, really clear. And oh, by the way, here's one for you. But we must keep the pubs closed. We must keep the restaurants closed, the coffee shops closed, blah, 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 blah. But it's okay to open supermarkets, okay to open the off license. Why? Does COVID-19 not, is it teetotal? Does COVID-19 not go into off licenses? Does it not go into supermarkets? Of course it does. Absolutely, of course it does. But here's another, yes, Celtic woman, the viruses mutate. Absolutely, all viruses mutate. That's the problem with the flu vaccine. That's why oftentimes it's not terribly effective. Before we talk about what's in it, which is another story, which probably I don't have 5G, by the way, so I'm feeling okay in that point of view. And then I'm again just going through your comments. Francis says, if we stay in, our immune system will go down. Absolutely. Like, this is not rocket science. Surely Boris gets this. Surely, the government understand this. Or are they so embedded to the SAGE committee and it's very incoherent guidance that they're just not prepared to listen? So I don't really quite understand why the government's continuing down this road. But Francis, I completely agree with you. Get out if you can, boost your immune system, stay healthy, and that way the likelihood of you succumbing to the downside, the ill effects of coronavirus are hopefully very, very remote. So is that not reasonable, folks? I try to be a reasonable man on these matters. Someone says, well, there's a comment there. I'm going to come towards the end of this shortly, but wish they'd open the hairdressers. I am in bad need of one, David. Well, as you can see with my own lustrous locks, going to the hairdressers is probably not a biggie for me, but I think others may have more need. Let's put it like that. But but there's the other thing. Hairdressers are often, small one-man woman, one-man band operations. They're just shot, no income. How do those poor people? I want to say hi to my friend, the City Troll. You're very welcome onto this experimental multi-channel broadcast. Nice to see you. One of the things, the City Troll, the guy whose comment you can see here is an American guy I've known for a long time, a good friend of mine. solid American. Can I just put on record that, contrary to what the media say, President Trump has done a fantastic job. Lots of America is trying to get back to work. They are doing the right thing. I understand in some of the Democrat states they're trying to stop them America going back to work. But again, and the media plays this game about, oh, but look at all the deaths in America. Oh, well, I'll tell you what, America's got a population of 330 million. If you want to compare things, mainstream media, who I despise, why not tot up the individual total for all 27 countries in the European Union? Tot that up, and let's compare that to the United States, and then let's see who actually, if you like, is top of the pops in the corona death stakes. The mainstream media is out to bring Donald Trump down, I believe, and that's hence the hostile attacks. And I do have a sympathy with Boris Johnson. So let me put my other hat on and say that, I understand it's a very difficult circumstance. I despise the way the media, the mainstream media in particular, carps about, oh, you didn't hit your PPE target. Oh, what about the ventilators? Oh, what about the care homes? It's gotcha. It's pathetic. It's absolutely, oh, thank you, Binky. You're way too kind to me. So it's gotcha politics. It's I'd rather I'd love they would invite me into one of the daily conferences. Because with the government, I'd like to ask sensible questions, such as those I've tried to articulate in this. Like, do you think that boosting the immune system of people is a healthy thing? I see not everyone supports President Trump. Well, that's fine. I mean, hey, listen, I totally support your right to disagree with me. It's not a problem. And hopefully you may find some common ground in which you may agree with me. But certainly, I mean, many Americans will not accept being locked down, and good on them. And I wish that the British people would actually show a little bit more backbone. We celebrated Victory in Europe Day just a couple of days back. 75 years ago, we celebrated the defeat of a terrible menace, the Nazis, the Germans in World War II. And I think of what we endured then and what we did then. And now we've talked about fighting them on the beaches and in the skies and on the land. And I look at us now, what are we doing? We're fighting it by hiding behind our doors. Come on, people. Seriously, is that what we've been reduced to? A huddled populace who thinks they're being brave by doing nothing, sitting on our backsides, some people on 100% of salary, not private sector, but public sector. Is that what we've become? So, oh, by the way, there's the best offer you're going to get. Patricia has got a pair of clippers. So we've actually, I don't know if we can do virtual hair cutting. If I could organize that, I'd be very happy to do that for you. But, so I just wonder what's happened in our society. Where is our backbone, really and truly? We should be making it clear to government that, look, yeah, enough with this. We as a people are prepared to take the risk. Take the risk of getting a virus which our immune system in most cases will more than likely be able to cope with, and which will get us back to normality. We can't, honestly, as I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but we cannot... yeah, I mean, again, look, that's a comment. Stand up and be counted. We're carring now. Not what I intended. No, absolutely. I will not be bullied by government. I will not in the most basic things. I love my family. I want to show that and be with my family. And Matt Hancock will not stop me. He really won't. And, I think that some of the cruel things that are being done in the name of coronavirus are worse than coronavirus. Don't know if you agree with me or not, but I actually think the cure is now indisputably much, much worse than the disease. I think that. And yes, Francis, there's lots of questions to be asked about the death figures. I'm glad to see Steve Baker seems to have a similar view, and there are some dissidents. I get that, and I don't underestimate the the challenges that faces Boris Johnson, and I want to be able to support him, but I can't. I cannot, in all due conscience, support that which is being done in the name of the British people. And then Boris turns around today and say, what we need is some good old common sense, good old British common sense. Well, heads up, Boris, here's some good old British common sense. Pardon my language, but it's Corona bollocks. I'm not prepared to accept everything that we're being told. And of course, critical analysis, folks, is essential to a functioning society. We are not mandated to, but there's a good comment, by the way. Someone says, the menace of the left. Well, yeah, I mean, look, there's a really good point. I've just stuck this one up on the screen. It's a good one. Because bad and all as the Conservatives are, Labour in the UK is so much worse. I mean, Labour doesn't basically want anybody to go back to work again, ever. Now, I understand if you're on the political left, you don't get economics, because if you did, you wouldn't be on the political left. It's an oxymoron. But nonetheless, when I hear people like Don Butler and others, Angela Rayner, these half-wits basically pontificating, it's really, really, really annoying. And so I feel sorry for Boris, and I feel sorry about the fact that the media seem to give credence to the likes of Keir Starmer. Are we allowed to say Keir Starmer, by the way, without saying forensic? Is it now is his middle name Keir Forensic Starmer, or as I prefer, Keir boring as hell, I want to go and boil my head in water if I had to listen to him one more minute, Starmer. But anyway, I think the thing is, you've got to have a laugh in these things, folks. You've got to have yes, Ashwarya. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Pardon my pronunciation, by the way, some of your names, but it's tricky sometimes when I'm doing this to concentrate on every name. One other thing, just another thing before I go, actually, I'm going to wind this one up very shortly, but another one of my concerns is about societal schism. And by societal schism, I mean this. In the private sector, the wealth-creating sector, lots of small businesses, one-man band operations, or bigger than that, but still quite small, they're being crushed by this, right? Many of them will not come back. Boris can bluster all he wants. These businesses will go by the wall. And that's so annoying, that's so sad and tragic and bad for the United Kingdom. But at the same time, the public sector is cosseted. So, the teachers don't want to go back to work in Northern Ireland. I'll tell you why. Because, well, they won't be. They've been told the schools won't go back until September. That means the teachers have been off several weeks in March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Folks, so on 100% salary, by the way. No furlough, no loss of pension rights, 100%. And that applies in other areas of civil service as well, where if you like, the public sector infrastructure is protected from the pain. That's not fair. That's not fair. The public sector should suffer in the same way as the private sector, and that way we're all in it together. This way, the poor one-man band operator is put out of business, forced to go on, basic unemployment benefit. Meanwhile, those people not doing anything in the public sector are on 100% pay. Can that be right? Is that wrong? Is that right? It's not. It's wrong. It's wrong. We can't have two types of societies. I think there's some very good teachers. I'm not going to agree with the comment they're a lazy breed, but I think the teaching unions on the whole tend to be, and council workers, Paul, that mentions a good one actually. Council workers, many of them, if you worked in a council leisure centre, which are all closed now, you're sitting at home, full pay. What's not to like? Weather outside's quite pleasant. It's reasonable outside. You're getting as much as you were getting when you were working, except you're not having to go in. So, Celtic woman, I agree with a lot of those comments. Yeah. So look, folks, I'm coming to the last minute of this now, so I'm going to wind up. Can I thank you very much for being part of this experiment, which is all it has been. This was just a preliminary version of what you're going to see an awful lot more of. I will stream onto more channels. I will be able to stream in parallel onto Facebook. So I hope to get that one sorted out for my next stream, which may be indeed tomorrow night, maybe only 30 minutes, but and I want to bring people on, so this will become so interactive, so dynamic. I hope you'll think it's worth sticking with me. So again, look, thank you all very, very much. And thanks for all your comments. I always say this because they're always great. And you folks keep me going. So listen, it's been a real pleasure to spend this hour with you. Thanks for being part of my big multi-streaming experiment tonight. And hopefully, as I say, it'll get smoother as we go through this one together. But that's how I want it to be. Thanks a lot. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.